Hi, we're at SunGard London City Days, and I'm here talking with Pawan Malik of Navigant Capital Markets Advisers. So you just came out off a panel where they talked about credit valuation adjustments, CVAs, which are a big topic right at the moment. And you talked a lot about your experiences at Barclays in the pre-crisis CVA world. So what were some of the lessons learned from the past sort of 7, 8 years of dealing with CVAs?
I think one of the most important things we learned is that CVA actually works. So to the extent that you have a system that allows you to access all the risk that is embedded within your derivatives at a very short period of time, you can prepare yourself to some pretty horrendous eventualities that may be lurking around the corner. So specifically around, the sort of the Lehman period of sort of upheaval where counterparty risk just went through the roof. Correlations, which is the idea that things tend to move together at the same time, which mostly hurts banks, all went in one direction. Things were blowing up, and I think what we were able to do is look very quickly and establish a position that the bank had, and then do macro hedges very, very efficiently. So I think the thing that I learned is that the investment dollars that we put in over the last, 7, 8 years actually paid fruition for those few days. And that was, I guess, it's satisfying to think about it today.
Yeah, you mentioned, you talked about those few days, that key moment in the credit crisis when all of a sudden everyone talked about the need for counterparty risk. But now people don't talk about that much anymore. I mean, should it still be on the radar? Why do you think that happened?
Well, I think that it's bifurcated. You've got the banks who, depending on whether you are, a tier one bank, a global investment bank, or a global universal bank, whatever you call them, you have an active CVA desk. You are breathing counterparty risk all the time, and it's just part of your DNA now. You've got your other banks which are kind of being forced into looking at CVA counterparty risk by virtue of the sort of onerous regulatory sort of requirements, your accounting changes that are taking place. But where I've seen sort of the whole emphasis on counterparty risk sort of coming down is on the counterparties themselves. So corporates who woke up to the idea that, oh my God, I've got a swap with bank and bank could go under, is now less worried about whether a bank could go under because, well, let's face it, the whole of the ECB discussion and what's going on in the US is about preventing another Lehman. And I think the market has generally been given the impression that they will save all banks which are critical to the system, which at this stage seems to be everyone.
I mean, on the panel, Robert McWilliams from ING Bank was on the panel with you, and he talked about setting up this central CVA desk as a utility, and this idea of CVAs as either offensive or defensive. And now in your role at Navigant, you advise banks on how to implement CVA. What do you advise them to do?
Well, mostly we kind of provide them with like a guide map. CVA being such a sort of a topical subject, it appears in Risk Magazine almost every week. You don't have to turn many pages in most financial journals before you come up with the word CVA. People want to know what it really is. And a lot of association with what is generally simple credit exposure management is now being confused as being CVA. So the first thing we basically mostly are asked to do is to just give them some kind of an idea of what it is that this beast is all about. The second, I guess, most critical aspect of our relationship with most of our clients is to help them figure out what is the minimum amount of work that they need to do to meet the guidelines that either the regulators or the accountants have set them. Because that's what most people are really caring about. They don't really want to do it, but they feel that they have to do it because it's an expensive proposition.
So is it more about helping banks with the definition of CVA rather than sort of telling them whether to be offensive or defensive?
Well, that's the beginning, and I think that's where we are mostly talking to a large number of clients who come to us and say, can you help us understand what it is that we need and we don't need? Because we get sort of a lot of conflicting advice. The second step is actually helping them implement it. And that could be as simple as building models that will help them understand and calculate CVA for trades that they want to do. And they may be at a situation where they will be buying a CVA system, but it's going to take some time to implement. It could be actually doing the full cradle to grave approach of actually helping them understand working with a company such as yours, where you would be providing the systems and the analytics, and what we would provide is really the advice of why do you need it, how do you use it, what are the things you need to be careful about, and how do you best kind of make use of the system.